you out there, Steve?
Yeah, I'm here.
John, are you there?
John Comar's here.
John Comar's there. How about John House? No, John House.
No, he's.
I do not believe John will be on. John is currently home with some personal problems.
Okay, so you're going to be John, huh?
No, I can't fill in for his shoes on the water side.
Okay. Steve, you want to just go ahead and start the meeting?
Yes, we might as well.
All right. Call the meeting to order at whatever the time is.
6:02.
6:02. Roll call.
President Rick Webb. Vice President Byron Glennon.
Here.
Director Ben Stewart.
Here.
Director Alfred Wallace.
Here.
Director Greg Wood.
Here.
And quorum is declared.
We have a quorum. And General Manager Steve Perez and Legal Counsel John Comer are also on the line. And Ryan, employee. I guess we'll, even though we can't see the flag, we'll stand it up in here and face it. And those of you on the online, just kind of say to yourself and listen to us. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Give me 1 second and you can.
Yeah. Moved by,
We have to add that.
moved by Director Wood. Second?
Second, Director Stewart.
I'd like to amend my motion. I'd like to amend my motion to approve the agenda with the addition of our finding for holding our meetings under COVID protocols.
Do I have a second?
Second, Director Stewart.
Stewart.
Stewart, okay.
Roll call vote.
President Rick Webb. Absent. Vice President Byron Glennon.
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart.
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallace.
Yes.
Director Greg Wood.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-1.
Do we read this now, Steve, or after public comments, or when's a good time to read this?
You read it now. We need to do that in order to actually justify the beginning of the meeting via teleconference.
Okay. You gonna read your part?
I don't have my part with me.
Okay.
I will read it, Steve. The board is required to make a finding at the first meeting of every month to allow the board of directors to meet via teleconference remotely. This should, and due to the governor's extending the state of emergency regarding COVID, the board needs to consider whether one or both of the following circumstances exist. A state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, and state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing.
I will entertain a motion in regard to whether or not either of these circumstances the general manager stated exists, and now I need somebody to make that motion. That's
Okay.
you.
As the result of the governor's proclaimed state of emergency, meeting in person continues to impact the ability of the members to safely meet in person. Therefore, I move that the Roseman Community Service District continue to meet via teleconference under AB 361's modified requirements on the basis that a state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person.
I have a motion made by Director Wood. Do I have a second?
Second, Director Stewart.
Roll call vote.
President Rick Webb. Absent Vice President Byron Glennon.
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart.
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallace.
Here. Yes.
Director Greg Wood.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Public comments. I won't read the script for public comments, but at this time, if there's anyone on the line from the public that would like to make a statement, now is the time for you to speak up. Hearing none, make an opportunity for voluntary public roll call if you're on via teleconference. Anyone out there that wants to make your presence known?
Yes, thank you. John Joyce, reporting for the Roseman News online and in print. Hi, good evening, Byron.
I'm glad you turned the temperature down a little bit and gave us a little bit of rain. That's nice of you, John.
Isn't that great? I feel fall is coming on.
I heard somebody else out there.
Yes, Tian with Kennedy Jenks.
One more time.
Tian with Kennedy Jenks.
Okay. How are you this evening, sir?
Very good directors.
Has Ryan been a good boy?
Ryan's been very pleasant to work with.
Could you please spell your first name, Tian?
Yes, spelled Tian, spelled T-H-I-N, and last name Ng, spelled N-G.
Thank you.
There is no closed session. The consent calendar, do I have a motion for CC1, between the check vouchers from 8/16/22 to 9/5/22?
So moved.
Motion by...
Point of order, Byron.
Yes.
You need to go to public comment.
Oh, well, okay, we'll go through the public comments the second time, I guess. Anybody in the public wants to speak up out there? Okay. Motion to approve CC1 was made by Director Wood. Do I have a second?
Second, Director Stewart.
Second by Stewart. Roll call.
President Rick Webb. Absent Vice President Byron Glennon.
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart.
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallace.
Yes.
Director Greg Wood.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
There's no new business. President...
Have to approve the-
Oh, I went right by the minutes. Can I have a motion for M1 through M4?
So moved, Director Stewart.
Second for that motion.
Second, Director Wood.
Switch the times. Stewart Wood this time. Roll call vote.
President Rick Webb. Absent Vice President Byron Glennon.
Yes.
Director Ben Stewart.
Yes.
Director Alfred Wallace.
Yes.
Director Greg Wood.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
No new business. Presentation PR1. Ryan, you're up.
All right. Good evening, everyone. First off, I'd like to apologize for missing the last meeting and calling into the last two. We've been very busy out at the plant. I'm pleased to say that things are moving moving along quite nicely. We have not, I know earlier in our discussions I proposed an approximate timeline, and we are still working on it. Currently, we're about halfway to our desired MLSS. One of the miscalculations I did not judge was the volume. We are basically 3 times the size of what we were before. So we are growing. However, we are growing slowly in comparison to the volume that we're trying to fill. The old plant, aeration about 0.8 million gallons in volume. The new basin is 2.37 million gallons in volume. So we're trying to build in a 0.8 and a 2.37, and so we're quite a lot bigger by volume. The plant is progressing nicely. We are meeting all the requirements from the state except for the total nitrogen, which we are currently working on. The water is still going out to the old evaporation clay-lined ponds and evaporates off. We tee in, as well as a newcomer to the team by Kennedy Jinks, a startup engineer, if you will, a process control engineer. They have been coming weekly to the site to perform work with us with our samples, process control samples, analyzing data. Kennedy Jinks has done some preliminary math to figure out an anticipated timeline of when we will reach our 3,000 MLSS desired goal, and they approximate about 22 more days, and we will be to our desired MLSS. We are currently still working through some unresolved challenges. We are continuing to work through SCADA challenges. For the most part, a lot of it is worked out. We are now experiencing the little hidden things that no one was able to foresee, and we continue to work through those. The blowers have been working excellent. The quality of water coming out of the facility is clean and clear, and I'm pleased to report, besides the timeline, the plant is doing extremely well.
Thank you, sir. Director Stewart, you have any questions for Ryan?
I do not.
Director Wallace?
I do not either.
Dr. Wood?
I just want to say that it sounds like everything is going according to plan. Not surprising with all the little flare-ups that you guys are having. That's just part of a startup. So sounds like we're looking at, you said 22 days, and we should be having acceptable effluent at that time?
In RUPS, Kennedy Jinks did some preliminary math. We have to meet before we are able to initiate the WAVOX sequence of the BioLac system. The WAVOX system will basically build anoxic zones, and that's when we will begin to build our denitrifying bacteria and begin to denitrify. We're looking at approximately 22 days to get to the MLSS set by Parkson to begin the WAVOX system. Once we begin the WAVOX system, we can start taking away the dissolved oxygen that is in the basins, thus allowing the bacteria to start denitrifying and getting that total nitrate and nitrogen levels down.
Okay. Sounds like you guys have got it all under control and are doing a great job. Thank you.
Ryan, just a little bit of rain we got make any difference to your operation out there?
A matter of fact, it does. Growing organisms works a lot better when it's warm. The last week we have had, even though the cool is nice, for me personally, I don't like it. I wish it was back up to 110 for another month to accelerate the process of developing the organisms. It did cause some operational challenges, not in regards to flow, but in regards to cold weather and the effect that it does have on a young organism population.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
General Manager, do you have any questions for him?
No, I just had some comments in regard to what Ryan had reported, and basically for the public's edification, that this is a biological, huge biological process, and so many different systems were added to our water reclamation plant. And all of these systems have to work in conjunction with one another. And the fine-tuning of what we're doing right now is the fine-tuning of this plant. And like Ryan said, temperature has and can have an effect when you're going in one direction, and then the cooler temperatures cause your biological masses to not perform like you expected, and you have to dial down or readjust in order to compensate. So getting that fine-tuning in is what we're doing right now at the plant. And although there are operational challenges, they are challenges that are not unknown to a startup of a plant this size or larger. And like Ryan said, everything is going along very well, but the challenges that we are encountering, we are able to address and make the necessary adjustments for. And that's the only comment I wanted to make, and not make it sound like that this is something abnormal, because it's not. It is very normal. It is just getting a handle on it and getting everything fine-tuned.
Thank you. Any director's comments for future agenda items? Director Stewart?
Not the same.
Hey, Director Wallace?
No.
Director Wood?
Yes, I attended the AVEC meeting last evening, and the SB 1020 was passed and signed. And those that aren't familiar with SB 1020, it's essentially the state is accelerating its requirement for state agencies to become zero emission by 2035, which is going to produce a lot of expense and cost that's going to be passed down to the customer. And I would like to have come back to the board. One thing I want to put down here in my comments is that I am very grateful to our staff and general manager and to this board for having the foresight to go out and acquire water rights where we are completely self-sufficient for our water needs for this community, for today's needs, and for many, many, many years into the future. But we still, as our general manager pointed out, we still use a small amount of AVEC water, but even that small amount of AVEC water, with the passage of this bill and the cost that's going to be incurred by all state agencies to be in compliance with it by 2035, it's going to make that small amount of water extremely expensive to the customers to purchase from what we're paying today. I would like to have this brought back to the board for us to come up with a plan to where we can have something in place to where we're completely weaned off of AMEC water, except for extreme emergencies, to where we don't have to pass that cost on to our customers in the future as these